my name is Peta-Gay Sheerwood. I'm a senior here at the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications. I am a telecommunications major with a minor in geography, and once I graduate, I will also receive a certificate in climatology and meteorology. So I just want to welcome everyone here today to our CJC Employers Tell All. And I would like to remind you students that interviewing day is March 19th over in the Rights Union, so do not forget to register for that because we will also have our lovely employers out there who's willing to speak with you guys. So I'm going to introduce the panel right now. Today we have with us Emily Burris. She is the morning and noon anchor for WCJV TV 20. She is a graduate of the University of Florida College of Journalism, and she holds a Bachelor of Science in Telecommunication News, and she graduated May 2013. Her specialty is in broadcast journalism, specifically as an MMJ, multimedia journalist and anchor. She has 2 years of experience after graduation, and when you count when you count what she did here at the university, she has 4 years of experience. Interesting facts about her: she was involved in musical theater in high school and found a lot of that training helpful in this field, which is the field of journalism. And when she's not working, she loves cycling and yoga classes. She also loves corgis, and she considers cheese practically its own food group. Can we get a round of applause for Emily? We also have Charles Harris. He is also an alumni of the University of Florida, and he's the former director of the Night Division. He currently is the CEO of Central Florida Community Action Agency, and he also graduated with a degree in advertising, and he has 25 years of work experience with the College of Journalism and Communication, and he has 16 months of nonprofit organization experience. Interesting fact, he is a member of the UF Department of Advertising Professional Advisory Council and established the undergrad scholarship in the college. So can we get a round of applause for him? Also joining us today, we have Samantha Jacobs. She is the founder and president of Hemsworth Communications, a travel and tourism and lifestyle-focused PR agency based in Fort Lauderdale. She graduated from Mary Baldwin College in Virginia with a dual degree in Bachelor's of Arts in Communications and Sociology. Her expertise is in public relations, media relations, and corporate communications. She has 16 years of professional experience in the PR industry, and interesting fact about her was that all-conference top-ranked soccer player in college, okay, and a proud mother of 2 under the age of 5, and Samantha launched Hemsworth almost 1 year ago. Already, the agency is on track to be ranked one of the top-ranking agencies in the state of Florida. Can we get a round of applause for We also have Jennifer Norman. Jen, you have it? She is an account executive and broadcast media buyer at Frankel Media Group.
Frankel.
Frankel Media Group. She also volunteers with the Advertising Federation of Gainesville, and she serves as the current president in Chamber Diplomat Program. She has 8 years of experience, and she also graduated from the University of Florida in advertising. And Jen loves ballpark hot dogs and secretly wishes that she can host diners, dives, in and dives. And she's not working at FMG. You can find her next to a microphone or training for her next race. Can we give a round of applause?
Hot dogs and running.
We We also have Drew Himel. He is the founder and CEO of PCR, a team of high-level strategists that helps solve business problems by increasing consumer awareness, engagement, and retention through digital platforms. Drew is a graduate from Florida State University. He graduated with a degree in psychology, but we're glad to have you here.
Give him the easy questions.
Drew has also been featured on Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and Fox News for his company growth and entrepreneurship. Can we get a round of applause for Drew? We have Lillian Castro. She is the former feature editor for the Gainesville Sun, adjunct professor for the UF College of Journalism and Communications. She has 25 years of work experience, and she graduated from Georgia State University with a degree in communications. Her specialty includes writing, editing, and planning daily feature stories covering lifestyle trends, religion, books, travel, and health and fitness. And can you get a round of applause for? Last but not least, we have Glenn Richard.
Close enough.
It's Richard?
Yeah.
Okay. Glenn is the operation coordinator for WUFT-FM. He has 30 years of professional experience in radio. And he is the program director, music director, mentor to student staff, instructing them in the programming, production, and performance of radio as a part of the college's student experience class. He's taught classes like Mass Media and You, and the popular class, Rock and Roll in American Society. And Glenn's fun fact is his greatest passion is local music. Can we get a round of applause for Glenn? So today we're just gonna open up the floor for questions and answers. I will start off with the first question, and anyone could take this question. More than one person can answer it. What are the most important skills, qualities that you look for in a candidate?
Okay, I'll start. You guys may be able to address this a little bit differently. One of the things that I think that we look for is somebody that's going to fit in with our culture. We're going to see a lot of people that come in that have similar skills, especially if you guys are coming in with not a whole lot of experience. Maybe you've had some internships and whatnot. So one of the things that we'll look for is somebody that's going to really fit in. I don't want to say like fit in with our group by any means, because we all have very different personalities and diverse backgrounds, but just somebody that has kind of the same outlook and mentality as us. So on the flip side, when you are looking for a job, I urge you to do the exact same thing. Look for a company that kind of has the same morals, the same ideas, and not just kind of put resumes out there. Be strategic with some of that stuff, because you want to be strategic about where you work just as much as they want to be strategic about hiring you.
I agree. I think being in a PR agency, there are a few things that are especially important to us. I think good writing skills are important. I think passion is important, and similar relevant experience. Even if you haven't interned in a PR agency before, which is something that we certainly prefer, I think the right candidate brings enthusiasm and passion to the table and just is excited about our business and ready to get in and have fun and learn. So I think enthusiasm and passion are really important, for sure.
I would say do your homework beforehand, like being strategic. Know something about the company that you're applying to. Because too often, you can get resumes and it's almost like, did they even look at what we do? You could tell that they're just flooding the market with resumes. So, you want to find a place that looks like a place that you'd enjoy working in the field that you'd enjoy working in. You don't want to just apply someplace and find out that there really isn't anything that you're qualified for, or that they don't even do what you're really interested in doing or passionate about doing. You're just trying to get a job. That's going to be a waste of their time and your time. So be strategic in trying to seek that out, and try to find out as much as you can about the company when you find the place that you want to work. Who's in charge? Who owns it? What do they do? What's their background? What's their history? If you come in showing a level of understanding about, our business, well, that's gonna, look really good. And be open-minded too. I mean, obviously you're not gonna come in knowing everything about us or the job, but be open-minded and willing to learn,
Turn off your cell phones. Turn off your cell phones when you go.
But too oftentimes, you get somebody who comes in and just it's kind of a barrier to learning. It's like we want you to like adopt our culture and our way of doing things, and so be open-minded to that. I think would be helpful.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to add, how many of you read the Gainesville Sun? Online. Did you read Sunday's edition?
No, I didn't catch it.
The reason why I bring that up, there was an article in the Sunday edition of the Gainesville Sun titled "Employees Seek Problem Solving in Students," which I thought was very timely given this workshop today. So one of the things I wanted to mention that I captured out of that I felt really answers the question here is it says good new hires should be able to communicate effectively both in writing and orally, work well in teams, make ethical decisions, have critical thinking skills, and lastly, ability to apply their knowledge to whatever situations pop up on the job. And I found in my position that probably the most critical of all of these, that the ability to think outside of the box, the ability to problem solve when things come up that are not actually in your textbook, but actually applying real world knowledge to it is very important as well. I've got some other tips here too from that article. So.
Thank you. Here's another question. Is there a difference between something that you look for in a student who's applying for an internship versus those students who are applying for jobs? And what are those different qualities?
I think probably the biggest difference between interviews for internships and those for full-time work is the level of experience. If you're an intern, we don't expect you to, it'd be great if you have more than one internship under your belt already. But if you don't, and you can show a level of understanding of how to write a news story, what a lead is, where your nut graph should go, how to quote someone properly and things like that, then you're a great candidate for an intern. We have an average of 5 or 6 interns every semester in the newsroom alone, and I think we expect them to know the basics, but not necessarily know everything, but at least ask. Be very comfortable with talking to an editor. The relationship you have with your editor is crucial. He or she is, trusting you with an assignment that's, could affect someone's life if you get things wrong. So, and certainly, makes the newspaper look bad. It's not unusual for us to hire students straight out of college if they're at the top of their game. We've done that in the past, and with great results. Some of them are still at the paper. So for them, we expect to see some work history, even if it's on campus, writing for the Alligator or writing for WUFT and reporting for WUFT. That's great experience. We know you understand what a deadline is, and that you can work under pressure, and that you have your facts straight. So the more you produce, the more you write, the more you have to show in terms of airtime, where that helps your chances of either an internship or a job.
Should students prepare differently for an internship than a job? What is the major difference in that?
Internships, we want to know that you can write. It's journalism has a language of its own, very similar to public relations and marketing. They're kissing cousins, I would say. But journalism is very devoid of exclamation points and opinions and adjectives. I'm always careful when I talk to my students about those elements in their writing. You're writing facts, you're reporting facts, so you shouldn't be in that story. How you prepare for an internship, I'd say get as much experience as you can now. Work for the school newspaper, write for one of the marketing or advertising or public relations agency that just opened. I was so excited to see that. You know, get your foot in there. Find a way to start putting into practice what you're learning in the classroom. Show your potential internship company what you know how to do. Even if it's minor, you know, a class report, if it's great and it got published somewhere, that counts too. Work experience if you're being hired. But for an internship, you know, we want to see what you know how to do, what you can do.
You had a question?
Yeah, okay, so let's say that you do possess all these skills that you were talking about, you know, problem solving and this and that. You still have to get in the door and be memorable to the employer to even improve that in the first place. So what is the most memorable thing that a candidate has done that like you remember, like beyond a resume, like something crazy, anything?
So we just had about 150 candidates apply for one position. And we do something a little bit more unique where we don't actually ask for the resume. We have a series of questions that we kind of go through and ask. And because if you look at our website, our personality is really shown through. So we really want people that can verbally and obviously written communicate. So we look through that in the answers. But for us, the one that was memorable, and she filled out the landing page, you know, hit the submission, and then found my information on LinkedIn, and then found my email and sent me an email and said, I made a huge mistake. I've applied for 10 jobs. This is one of them. I didn't answer the questions without thoroughly looking through your website. And it's a lot longer than that, but her personality really shone through with the communication. She kind of owned it. She was very creative. There's an idea of like this problem solve. She was like, give me another chance. Give me 3 more questions, you know, knowing your guys' personality, know how important, you know, culture is for you guys. Just give me another shot. Here's kind of the reason what's going on. This is what, you know, happened. And I don't know, I mean, that might be a little out of the box kind of thinking, and she did kind of even fess up to making a mistake of not doing the research ahead of time, but she found out that I was, you know, the CEO and reached out directly to me, and then I went over to our operations manager and said, let's give this girl, you know, a phone interview with 3 additional questions that we can kind of go through and ask. So, you know, just a creative, unique way to be able to kind of get in the door, doing some research after the fact and realizing that, you know, I might be the decision maker and reaching out directly to me, I think showed some gumption and a little bit of personality really shined through just in really 2 paragraphs. So that kind of sticks out to me as something very recent.
Actually really resonates with me because I did something very similar. Unfortunately, I didn't get the position, but yeah, I did an interview, like online interview where you're just talking to like a fake moderator. It's really weird. Like I totally choked on one of the questions and I emailed the guy. I was like, this is what happened, but I don't think he was a decision maker though.
You know, I think you have to be careful too. I mean, you want to, you know, kind of project yourself in the right way. So I think she really took a leap of faith. But we talk about how we make mistakes every single day. So I think after doing that research, she realized that message would resonate where for other companies that might not at all, and they might just not respond. So
I think follow-up is so important. You know, you can make a really great impression in the actual interview, but what speaks volumes to me is how you touch base with me after the fact. You know, we're a PR agency and so much of what we do is communicating with the media and trying to find clever ways to capture their attention. So if you can show me after the interview that you can capture my attention in a creative way, I think that says a lot about your future potential in our industry. So I think thinking about that after the fact.
I have a bit of a cautionary tale. Well, I want to share this one because I think it's hilarious. But we had an applicant one time for a sports anchor position mail us a box in the mail that we opened up, and it was a resume and a soccer cleat And the note attached said, I wanted to get a foot in the door. That one made it around the newsroom. But we did look at her entire resume, and she got probably more attention on the resume than a lot of our other applicants. But I will say, you know, be mindful of what the employer is asking of you when you are applying. If they specifically say, you know, email this and this and this, follow that format. And if they say no phone calls, don't call them, because what that ends up doing sometimes is, you know, you have to consider our news director gets 100 applications the week they post a job for a reporter position. So if you're not following exactly the rules that we asked of you when we posted the position, how do we know that you're going to follow, you know, the guidelines that we set out for you in the parameters of the job? So sometimes that'll, you know, sometimes trying to go above and beyond or stand out will get your resume in the no pile pretty quickly. But I think what can be very helpful, as well as following up, that's huge, is doing that research, going the extra mile, finding a UF alumni who works at that station or that PR agency and sending them an email and saying, hey, I noticed you're a Gator. I'm at UF right now, you know, really looking to get started out here. Do you have any advice for me? Could you pass this along to someone? Or I'd love your feedback on my demo reel. Sometimes all it takes is the right person to send that email to the boss, and it'll find its way through the inbox because it's an email address that that person recognizes. So that can be, finding the right connection can be very helpful.
And following up on research, one of the most impressive students I had a chance to interview was actually last year interviewing day, last spring, when a student came up to our table and talked with us. And the student obviously had done a research about our organization, had she been to our website, she knew our service area, she knew the entire staff. She actually came in with suggestions on how we could improve our website and improve our public relations. So again, just being prepared for the interview, making sure that you're aware of the organization that you're interviewing with, what industries they represent, just making sure that you have a good full picture of who they are, and then making sure again that you actually get a chance to perhaps suggest some things. And again, I saw that as taking the initiative, and we really would have hired her, but she was someone that was under high demand, and she had 3 or 4 different offers, and unfortunately we were not one of them. But
Because she did her research.
because she did her research and she knew exactly what she was looking for and the right questions to ask.
Does any students have any questions? I think you had your hand up first.
Okay. Hello, good evening. My name is Desiree Lee. I'm a first-year journalism major. I just had a question about portfolios. How important do you think a physical portfolio is versus like online references, like links to websites and things like that? Because I'm specializing in photojournalism, so should I work on something that's physical to hand in, or more so on like a blog or a website?
I think a combination of them in this day of social media, a blog is an excellent way to assemble all of the work you're doing. I think it's smart to have your favorites maybe in a folder in a portfolio that you carry with you. So when somebody says, so do you know, what do you have? You can flip it open and impress them that way. I think, you know, in print journalism, the physical is very present, so if you have copies like that, but certainly social media is a good way to go. I find it a little lazy when I get queries from potential interns or employees who send me links to everything. It's like they're making me work too much. I'll get an average of a couple of hundred of emails a day that I have to rush through. And if you're making me work too much, if there's a link that I can get to your blog, that's cool. But when I have to, you know, hunt and peck for everything, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
It's a catch-22 because if you attach, like some businesses won't accept attachments from outside sources. So, you know, and if your link doesn't work, well, you know, I mean, you don't know. It could backfire on you either way. But most broadcasting, everything's virtual. You know, you just point them to your website and they can hear your demo reel there. I don't think anybody actually takes physical demos anymore, but it's probably good to have that option in case somebody, hey, just email me a copy of your, like an MP3 of your demo reel, to be able to do that instead of just pointing it. So you want to have your options open.
I think it's important too on the first impression from a digital perspective. If you have a blog, because people are going to end up inevitably Googling your name, so that's the first impression they're going to be able to have. And someone that we recently hired about 6 months ago had a LinkedIn profile, but also had a SlideShare account. She did a summer internship at Variety Magazine. She had a couple decks that she had put together. She had a blog where she was showing her writing ability, but then when she also came in the interview, she had it on nice cardstock. So she got past the first impression, which is the digital product that you have to kind of recognize, and you want to be able to control that information. So more of the owned assets that you actually have, and it's not coming from other places, that's inevitably going to be better. And then the second part of the actual interview, that's where you want to kind of have that presentation be really strong as well, and that's where you can showcase your presence, and I think those are assets that you kind of want to have. So I would say both, and you kind of want to continue that through the process and building that as much as you can.
Does everybody have a LinkedIn profile? Yes? Who doesn't have a LinkedIn profile? All right.
Nobody's gonna raise their hand. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I will tack on to this, and this will carry you into your work life a little bit too. Digital doesn't always work. I'm sure you know this very well. So having a hard copy of anything you do, as somebody that's in an agency, if I go to make a pitch and I'm going to, typically we prefer to do it out of our office because we can control all the audio and visual. But if you go somewhere and you've got something set up and it's all digital and you don't have hard copies and that doesn't work, you are in big trouble. So having both are very, very good to have.
Thank you so much.
You have a question?
Hi guys. I actually have an interview for an internship Thursday. This Thursday. So I know for like our different fields, especially for PR and advertising, the attire varies so much. And there's casual, there's business casual, and it goes to business professional depending on agency. Can I get some recommendations on how to handle this? Because I'm kind of freaking out.
You might say something otherwise. I tend to think always overdress. That's just my personal opinion. Whether it's an interview or a client meeting with a new client, we just did a pitch for a big piece of business, and we went in and everybody was in jeans. And my team said maybe we should have been a little more casual, and I said no, because you go in jeans and then everybody's really dressed up. So you can't undo that first impression. I've interviewed people that have walked into my office in jeans, and we're very laid back. We have a great, fun corporate culture, but it was a turnoff to me because it made me wonder how they present themselves in other scenarios. So that would be mine.
Yeah, always go overdressed. I mean, even we're very casual, jeans and everything else, but I don't know if I would necessarily hold it against them, but I think we're maybe a little bit rare. But you can't be too overdressed for any type of occasion. It's better to be safe than sorry, I think, across the board.
To add on to that a little bit, the other thing too I think that's important is invest in a couple pieces that you've worn before the day of your interview and that you're comfortable in too. Because I've interviewed people that have come in before, and guys will have, I can tell that they got the shirt out of the package this morning and they've got the the creases right there, and they're kind of tugging at the shirt. Or ladies, if you're kind of tugging at a dress or a blouse. You want to look professional, but you also don't want to be messing with your clothing to the point where it's distracting during the interview. So definitely take a minute to find that outfit at least the day before, try it on, make sure everything's comfortable, that you're comfortable in it, because you're going to come across as nervous too if you're also nervous about things not fitting well. So
Yes. Yeah. And make sure length is appropriate. I mean,
length and
Fitting as well.
hem lines and dress lines and all that. Yeah.
And just one other point, as a female, I mean, just because we say overdress, that doesn't mean that you have to lose your identity and your personality. And I think one of the fun things that we can do is play with fashion and, statement pieces and a good necklace or a good pair of earrings. I mean, that can go a long way. So there are ways that you can dress up your wardrobe and still be fun and funky if that's who you are. I'd like to see people's personality when they come into interviews. So you don't just have to have a black suit, but, it's still professional.
And especially if you are going to an ad agency or an on-camera job, something that asks for a little more creativity, we don't want to see you all in black and totally buttoned up. Show that funkier side, but still keep it professional.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Congrats on the interview.
You have a question?
Yes, I do. Should I stand?
Why not? You're fine.
How's everybody doing? My name is Jordan Dozier, and I'm a third-year communications major. I had a question because I'm on a very different track. I'm on a management track, so I get some of telecommunication and business at the same time. And some of the things that I was looking at were media relations, strategic communication, and even communications consultancy. And I wanted to know what exactly those type of firms and agencies, for example, from Hemsworth, Frankel Media, and PCR, what do you guys do specifically, and what skills would you like from an applicant that would want to go and work for you?
Do you want to start?
So we do a lot on, I guess, digital strategy. So we're working with large clients that have typically pretty robust databases from, they might have 250,000 email addresses or contacts where there's no segmentation and none of that information actually communicates across technology to they're trying to interact with the consumer a little bit more effectively. So we'll do like programmatic ad buys where instead of buying TV and radio, we might buy advertising with Spotify and YouTube and other things. So we're kind of integrating their digital strategy with what they're doing from a traditional business process. So for us, I don't care about experience actually all that much. We really are looking for creativity, ability to problem solve, but also too, on the opposite side, I think it's that confidence, but not coming across as egotistical. And I think we've had past experiences where that person knows they know a lot and they want to share that with the world, and that's a big turnoff for us. We want people that come in with that willingness to learn. And I think, and everyone says culture, but for us it's not just like kind of attending a potluck and everyone being happy, but it's caring truly about your fellow coworkers and what that looks like, and really caring about our clients. We lost a client the other day, and my account manager came in bawling, not because I was mad, I was sitting here like consoling her, but she cared that much about the work, and you want that to kind of shine through. So I know those are a lot of like intangible things that are kind of hard, but that's what we're ultimately looking for. It's not necessarily 5 years of experience or anything else. We need that talent that we don't mind cultivating that and growing it as much as possible. We prefer actually to hire kind of new 1 to 3 year type people in the workforce or straight out of school.
Yes.
Hello. My name is Hui Shan, and my major is telecommunication, and I'm a graduate student. Since my interest is about social media, I was thinking about what's your opinion about the social media? Do you think it's really important? And do you have specific position designed for social media, like marketing by social media? Because I'm interested in this area. I was looking for your opinion.
Sure. One of the trends that I'm seeing is the creation of more social media in-house positions. A lot of companies are hiring people like you who are young and bright and passionate about social media, and they're bringing them in-house versus hiring an agency to handle that for them. We're a generalist full-service PR agency, so we do social media for our clients, but we don't hire people specifically for that. It's part of our general scope of work. So I think it's definitely continues to be a hot field. It's very, very hot and emerging, and I think you're in the right area of specialization. But I would maybe look for companies who are in an industry that you're excited about, who might want to tap your experience in their individual sector.
I know that a lot of local TV markets are trending towards bringing people in-house that are, you see TV stations trying to reach out and connect with viewers on Twitter, on Facebook, and social media is honestly growing faster than most of these stations can keep up. It's kind of another branch of the internet that we're playing catch up with, honestly. But I think what will make you most successful if you do want to focus on that area is you still need to have that foundation of the broadcast writing skills or of the telecommunications skills, understanding how your social media role would fit into that station or that agency, because as the TV station, we want someone obviously who can reach out on that social media, but in newsrooms nowadays, everything's becoming more and more consolidated. Everyone's wearing more than one hat. So if you can also, be a web journalist or a multimedia journalist who also handles social media, that will make you a more valuable asset to companies that you're applying to. Thank you.
Yeah, I think to me it's more just the content creation piece. I don't know if you want to go in necessarily one tactic, because then you're kind of limiting yourself. It's how well can you tell a brand story that's going to maybe resonate with those consumers. I wouldn't go in with maybe just one specific tactic and what that looks like, because it could change. I mean, I don't think social media is going to be all of a sudden, something that people aren't doing, but I think it's a small piece of a larger, for us, when we do social media, it's one aspect of an overall campaign, and it has to be integrated with what they're doing, PR-wise, what they're doing traditionally, and also what we're trying to produce, digitally as well. So maybe have the focus and your attention be more on understanding how consumers are interacting with brands, and then trying to think of different ways that you can kind of help leverage that, whether it be social media or PR or other things too.
Yeah, you'll find those positions, whether it's at an agency or if it's working just solely with one company, and that may be a question that you want to decide too, which route you think that you would rather go. Do you want to work for a company that maybe is representing 6-7 clients and you're doing social media for that, or do you specifically want to work for one company? I mean, that's just really going to depend on your personality and how you work as well. So,
on the topic of social media, how important is it for an applicant to have a clean personal social media site? And do you guys go ahead and look at those sites before you go ahead and make
absolutely.
Let's talk about
How many of you have Googled yourself? Anyone Googled their name? That's a good start. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, like, if I Google my name, I know exactly what's going to come up on that first page of results. It's going to be my LinkedIn page, my YouTube page, my website, my bio on my TV station's website. That's really, really important. Every single candidate that I have ever considered because I hire part-time positions at our station, most of them are students. If you make it past the resume cut, if you're one of the resumes that I put in my short list pile, the next thing I do before I call you for an interview or consider you for that internship, I Google you. And if I can find your Facebook profile and your Twitter, and it's not professional, and that comes up before your LinkedIn page or before your byline at WUFT or any of that stuff, it gives me pause. It gives me reservations about, bringing you in. I think especially for broadcast journalism, if you're on camera, if you're on-air talent, your face and you as a person are representing that station. That becomes so important, your online trail and your profile.
And in addition to the what not to do's, I think social media is a really great way for you to leverage your interests, your passions, your experience, so think about it from that standpoint too. As you're heading into your career search, you really have to start marketing yourself and your brand. So figure out what is your brand, what identity do you want to put out there to prospective employers, and start tweeting about trends, start retweeting things that journalists are talking about. So I would do those types of things to continue putting out positive links and positive attachments to your name.
Another question. What kind of questions do you guys look for during an interview? Or do you expect the student to ask you questions, and can you elaborate on that?
I think for us, I love to see when they've done their research, they've read some blogs that we've written, and so they're offering their perspective and kind of insight. And I hate when maybe we've kind of asked a lot of questions, and at the very end you kind of say, "So do you have any questions for us?" And no, I think I'm good. It doesn't show you a level of you've done some research, and your personality needs to come out a little bit more, that you've prepared for this, you're respectful of that person's time, and I think you can judge a person based on the level of questions and the quality of the questions that they're actually going through and asking. So to me, I would definitely have those, where you've done that research ahead of time and you kind of go through. But that is a big differentiator for how prepared is that candidate and what questions are they actually asking, have they interacted with our digital assets and kind of what we have. And then, again, really think about some thought-provoking and ways that can highlight and showcase that you have done that research ahead of time.
Yeah, have questions already written out. Even if once you go through the interview, if they've answered all your questions, find something to go back on and elaborate on that. Again, I'm sure you guys have already started looking at job descriptions and all that, but how many times have you looked at a job description and you're like, I know this isn't my field, but what the heck is this day-to-day job? Like, what does this actually mean? So find that out. Find out what, if the person left, why, maybe why did they leave? Or sometimes that can be a little bit touchy, so be careful there. But find out, like, okay, if I'm doing this, what does my typical day look like in this job? Because again, you want to make sure that you fit that role just as much as they And we want to make sure that you fit that role because we want you there for a long time, and vice versa. So be prepared with the list of questions, go back, ask, and if you need further explanation, feel free.
And take really, take notes
Yes.
during the process. And if, or just be a really good listener to what they're saying. Because if they keep coming back to a theme or bringing up something, if they keep mentioning weekends and, talking about weekends and talking about hours and talking about, being on call and things like that, I mean, those should be like red flags, that's going to be a big part of the job. So, try to like pick up on those cues, and if you've got a concern about something like that, bring it up. Or if you want to show that you've been listening and taking those mental notes or actual notes, follow up on it, and just say like, so I heard you mention weekends a lot. Is there a lot of weekends that I'd be expected to work? And then that person's like, oh good, they picked up on that, and yes, we can explore that further, and they're cool with that. All right, good. I was putting that out there to see if they had a problem with it. They grab the bait and they're good, because sometimes the employers will do that. They'll put those out there to see if you're paying attention, and we'll follow up with it. So
The star student that I had mentioned to you, she even asked about our strategic plan. She asked about funding because we're a federally funded organization. So she actually asked questions about where is this organization poised for the future given the federal cutbacks and so forth. And I was very impressed with those type of questions that really showed that that she was really interested
What's
in,
her name?
in the future with us.
All right. You have a question?
Yeah. Kelly Layton, by the way, I'm an advertising major, didn't say that earlier, but kind of about what you were saying earlier, I have a question about like an account executive. They're really good at closing the deal and know enough about the product and stuff. Would that suffice, or does somebody need to really know about like databases and all this technical stuff and the jargon and all that?
No, I mean, again, I was a psychology major, and so I've kind of learned this stuff as I've gone. There's not anything necessarily in a school curriculum that they can learn to kind of translate. What we're looking for is the personality traits where they do have that willingness to learn. So a lot of questions we ask are, what books are you reading? What have you been geeking out about over the last year, from a technology standpoint? So, and it's showcasing that personality that they're really eager to kind of learn and try new things and push themselves outside the comfort zone. So from us, we have mathematicians on staff to communications majors to, I'm a psychologist. So we have kind of a mix. It's just more the personality that we're looking for, not necessarily the skill set.
Well, once you hire them, are they expected to like get to know that stuff really well?
Yeah, absolutely. We provide a lot of training, mentorship, and education because, that's going to be really important is the education. So they have to be, not only, Google AdWords certified, we have a HubSpot certification, we have, Google Analytics. There's a lot of different trainings and tools that we kind of provide, but we do it in a mentorship model where you're not really exposed to client-facing type interaction for another maybe 6 months before we feel comfortable. So that's why it's so important when we do bring these people on is we invest a significant amount of time and energy to kind of develop them as they go through.
That's a great question to ask too about, because again, if you're not coming in with a lot of experience, what kind of training do they provide, or are they just going to leave you like out to kind of fend for your own?
Yes. Hi, my name is Bree, and I'm a third-year telecom news major. I just had a question about Career Day's coming up, and I am really excited about the place that I'm applying for. So I just want to know how can I stay? Like after my internship, how can I say I want to come back? I want to, possibly get a job here after, or how do I show them that I want to stay?
From like an intern to a full-time, or
if I want to come back to do more with the company just as an intern again, how can I kind of get that door open?
Ask. I mean, honestly, I think we're all looking for good talent and people who are hungry. And, we're a small company. We're a startup. As she mentioned, we're coming up on our year anniversary. And, we're at the point where we're growing rapidly. For me, it's about somebody who's passionate and somebody who says to me at the end of the internship, you know what? This was awesome. I love this. I love the clients. I love everyone who works here. I'm going back to school. I know you can't save a spot for me, but just please know that I'm still interested, and then continue to follow up with me. don't go silent over the next year as you're finishing your senior year. Touch base with me, send me a note. Hey, wanted to check in and see how that account was going that I worked on. Just follow through and follow up and keep the lines of communication open. But a lot of people just leave. Make sure you ask.
Well, and I think also too, treat that internship like a job. We've had some interns come through TV20. It's an entry-level market, and many of our interns, I started out as an intern and got a job there after graduation. That's the case for a lot of our positions. They're filled by people who got that foot in the door as an intern, but we've also had interns come through and treat it, I guess, like a class almost, or like it's not a class that you've added to your semester. Treat it like a job. If there's a holiday or a break, double check with your employer. Are you expected to be there for your internship that day? Show up on time, dress professionally, don't talk about schoolwork and social stuff. I think really that's kind of your first impression for what would you be like as an employee here. And if we have reservations from your internship, if you ask to stay, we might not be on board with that. So just, be aware that's your first impression. Treat it like you're getting paid.
And the quality of your work, I think that says a lot about you as an individual, making sure that you're on time, making sure you complete your task, is assigned to you. In fact, we had an intern that worked with us fall semester and did such an excellent job that we actually hired her back this semester as a paid consultant that's coming in and working with us. But again, it was because of the quality of her work that she performed with us.
Same here. We've done the same thing. So you're good.
Yeah.
I think we're always hunting among our crop of interns for that one or two students who are heads above the rest. That person who, I'm sorry, your first name? Emily described, they stuck around when it was a holiday. Not that, the paper runs 365 days a year. Not all holidays are, across the board. One intern this semester stuck around for spring break. I'm not saying don't take your spring break. I think you should. I think it's a good thing. But I think the gesture, we said you really don't have to do that. It's not part of your internship. But I think that example of eagerness and wanting to, recognizing that all of the interns were leaving and that week we all work and news doesn't stop. So we're always looking for that person who knows the job, is eager to work, and is after us constantly for, okay, I'm done, I finished this, with a positive outcome. What else can I do? They're always behind, after us for the next assignment. That keeps us on our toes too, and we recognize that as someone who's a go-getter, who wants to be there, isn't treating it as a class and kind of just dragging in and watching the clock to see what time they leave.
And we know when you're doing that, too, by the way.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. This question, I guess, will be for you. When applying for a job and when having a reel, what are some of the things that should be in there for the broadcast students?
Okay. For a television reel, what I always tell...
Also, do you guys look for reels for interns as well?
I think it shows initiative. If you want to be in broadcasting and for your internship, you've already put together a reel of some of your work at WUFT, it shows that you're already, thinking towards that step. For our interns, for our internships, I wouldn't hold it against them if they didn't have the experience yet, because again, your internship might be some of your first experience, but it doesn't hurt if you've done some stuff here at the college to show us what you've done. As far as putting together a demo reel for jobs and from your work here at WFT, hopefully when you've been interning, when you've been out on internships, always ask the reporters or the producers that you're shadowing, like, hey, can I, after the newscast, try my own version of this? Can I track a version of this package and save it for myself, even if that work doesn't ever air? Practice that stuff, practice those stand-ups, get feedback from the people that you're working with. When I graduated, probably half of my reel was material that I'd put together from WFT, and about half of it was material that I'd put together over at TV20. Most of it had never aired, but it was things that I had done in the field working with reporters. Put your strongest work on there. When I'm watching reels, I most recently hired a couple reporters this fall when I was interim news director, and I would click on a reel and click play, and within 15 seconds made a decision whether I was going to keep watching or not. So your very first thing out of the gate needs to be your best presentation, your best on camera work, a shot that's going to show me exactly what you look like, what you sound like on your best day. And just look for those strongest stand-ups, your strongest examples of writing. Everyone always asks, should I put hard news on? Should I put a feature on? Honestly, whatever your best constructed piece was from your time here, your best writing, your best editing, your best work, and have people look at it. Yeah.
I want to do more of entertainment reporting, but I only interned at a news station. So I have like sports and hard news on my reel. So I don't know if you know, but do you think entertainment reporting job would care about my news reel?
It's tough, and I've seen students come out of school and entertainment and sports are some of those areas where it's tough right out the gate to kind of know where to go. But look for those pieces that are going to show them your personality on camera, because I can look at someone, even if they were doing a newsier piece, and say like, oh, that person has a lot of pizzazz. They look really comfortable on camera. That's going to shine through regardless of what the actual topic is. But I think it's also really helpful too to have people in the business look at your work and critique your work, and not just for your reel, for your resume too. Don't send out a resume without having somebody proofread it. They might look it over and say, I don't really understand what you mean here by this description of your work at this agency if they're not familiar. So have that second set of eyes give you some feedback before you send stuff out.
And your cover letter too.
Yeah.
And in your cover letter is where you can convey what your goal is to do, entertainment reporting and such, but you've only had the opportunity to do X kind of stories, and you've tried to showcase some of those that hopefully they'll see your personality, what you're interested in doing for real, and that's what you can do in your cover letter.
Does anyone have any questions? No? Well, thank you guys so much. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I wanted to add just 2 comments. One, for those of you who are looking to work in newspapers, Lillian was a little modest there, but I do know from my work as the night director that she assisted a lot of students in getting their start and really gave them a real training environment so they were able to learn and go on to larger and better things. So again, I would encourage you, if you get an opportunity to interview with her. The other thing too, just wanted to tack on as far as a new hire. One of the things that I found that a lot of young students, when they get into a job environment, is really understanding the corporate culture and how to fit it within that culture. And I've seen students that are hired for management positions where they're managing people who've been in that industry for over 20 years or more. And how do you convey to this person that you know what you're doing when they've been doing it for over 20 years? And sometimes there's some resentment because you're the star, the hot shot coming in, and you're trying to tell them what to do. So try to make sure that you take your time to really understand what that culture is about. The other thing I wanted to mention, just a plug for the Career Resource Center. I know in the past they had a class about the art of negotiation. I think a lot of times students, when they're going into their first job or to get their first offer, don't really know how to negotiate salary or benefits or what power they have. So again, if they're still offering those courses, I would encourage you to take advantage of those.
I would say, no matter what the internship is that you're going for or the job, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, and hopefully you'll land in situations with these people who seem to really, provide a good environment for their interns. Hopefully you won't run into a brick wall where you champing at the bit to do stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll find something for you, and they don't. But don't just sit back and wait for them to offer you stuff. I mean, really go after it, and hopefully you've done your research and you found a place that you will land that will offer you those opportunities. But really, don't just sit back and expect them to like come to you once you get it.
You're vetting them as much as they're vetting you too. I mean, you really got to make sure it's the right job. I've seen a lot of people that just accept maybe the first offer and it's not the right environment, and you really want to try and make sure that it's a cultural fit, there's room for growth, and that's where doing your preparation and kind of really understanding internship the same way I'd treat an internship the same way I would almost treat a job. What's the ideal environment where I can learn the most, can grow, and then you can position yourself extremely well for that first job right out of school. We do look heavily at where they intern, what was their experience and what they got out of it, and that's a unique opportunity to overcome lack of work experience and other things too.
And one thing we haven't mentioned, is references, and I think that's very important, especially being so young and you're looking for internships now. If you don't have a prior internship, for us, again, we're a small agency, rapidly growing, but small. We're looking for people who just have the right hunger. So you don't necessarily have to have a prior internship. It's great. If you don't, come to the interview or send me an email with references, personal references, professors, someone here from the Career Center, but put some references on paper that we can actually talk to and glean a little bit of insight into who you are. That may help as well.
And don't rule out opportunities to volunteer. If you don't find an internship one semester, find an organization whose work you admire and find a way to do what you're learning how to do for them for free. It's going to look great on your resume. Again, you can produce some real examples of work.
Thank you.
And they'll provide your reference.
Exactly, there's your reference.
So we can definitely take away some things. I mean, put your best foot forward, do your research, and just, go in there and owning your internship as well as your interview. So if we don't have any further questions, I would just like to say thank you all for joining us here today. And thank you guys for joining the Night Division during this event. Yes?
I just wanted to make an announcement. For those who do not know, CJC Career Day will be next week on Thursday, March 19th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Rickards Union Grand Ballroom. If you haven't pre-registered, you can still come as a walk-in student. Just make sure you bring plenty of copies of your resume.
We extended registration until 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, so straight from our IT guy. Registration has been reopened, so if you haven't done so, you can pre-register and actually submit your resume in advance, requesting interviews to some of our panelists who will actually be back tabling and interviewing students during that time. I also recommend, if you happen to miss that deadline by a few minutes, that you email your resume directly to the recruiter that you're interested in interviewing with, just to see if there's other opportunities. And definitely come out and network with the employers who have open tables, because you never know what you're going to find. As they stated, the Career Resource Center, also located in the Rickards Union, has lots of services, including resume critiques and mock interviews. So those of you who are nervous about how to speak to recruiters, you can go get some practice and some feedback, just as they recommended, free of charge. Once you graduate, you have to pay for consulting. So definitely take advantage of the resources. You did the right thing by coming tonight. This is a great first step to educating yourself, but don't let it stop here.
I just want to let everyone know we're not local, so we won't be able to attend the career day, the interview day, but I did bring copies of our internship posting. So if anyone's interested and you're looking for something in Fort Lauderdale, just shameless plug for us, but I do have copies of the actual job description if you'd like. Thank you.
Anyone else has anything they would like to add? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.